Hi everybody, how are you all doing? I hope you're doing well. Welcome, welcome. This video is about a serious subject, very serious subject. Benzo, if you're on benzos like Xanax, Valium, Ativan, that type of thing. I'm here to tell you how I got off of it without suffering withdrawal symptoms or going through hell, as I have seen so many videos of people talking about how they could not quit, they can't get off of it because of the withdrawals. Now, what I'm going to tell you about what I did to get off of it, I'm not telling you to do. I'm not a doctor. This is what my doctor okayed for me to do. But I wanted to share it with you because I know there are a lot of you who are on benzos. You want to get off, but you haven't been able to for whatever reason. And usually the reason people don't succeed is because of the withdrawals. And you cannot just quit a benzo because it could be very dangerous. It can give you seizures, it can even kill you. So you don't just quit benzos. You don't do that. That's a very dangerous route to go. And I knew I have been on Xanax since February of last year to this February. And the reason I got on them was Christmas night of 2022. I had a horrific panic attack, didn't know what was happening to me. After the panic attack passed that night, I was stuck with chronic anxiety. The anxiety was so severe, guys. I was literally shaking. My body, my hands, I was shaking and crying every day, depressed as could be. I mean, days where I was like, I want to end it all. It was a weird thing that happened to me. Through therapy, I finally got a therapist thanks to my family convincing me, my daughter giving me a list of doctors, and one of them worked out really well. I liked her a lot. And I just finished up with her last week, as a matter of fact. Excuse me. So if you are if you are on benzos and you want to get off of them, it might do you good to get a therapist, a good therapist. But anyway, the Xanax helped me tremendously, slowly but surely. It wasn't overnight. It took time for it to work on bringing that anxiety down. And there were ups and downs during that period. There were days when I'd feel great and other days when I would just be such a mess I'd have to call somebody because I felt like I was going to lose it. It took a while to balance it out. And I was only on 1 milligram a day. I took, I'll show you the little pill. Any of you who are on benzos knows. This is a 0.25. Just one pill is 0.25. And I took 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, and 2 at night to equal that milligram. Well, after it settled me down and I felt, I guess you could say, normal, I knew I wanted to get off of it. And that's the key thing here. You have to want to get off of the benzos. If you don't actually want to, I don't know if you'll succeed. I wanted to get off. I did not like the feeling that it gave me. Although it helped me with that anxiety and all that panicky feeling and all that, once I settled down, I knew I don't want to be on this anymore. I didn't like the way it made me kind of, groggy when I took it. When I first started taking just a half of the 0.25, it would make me go to bed and fall asleep. Well, then you start to build a tolerance. And it didn't make me fall asleep after several months, but it did make me still feel kind of groggy-ish, and I didn't like any of that. And my doctor warned me when I started the Xanax that benzos can affect your brain, your memory, and I knew I didn't want that. So once I settled down and I saw that I didn't view the world the same with that horrible feeling of I just want to die, just whatever. I knew I wanted to get off of them. So what I did, guys, to get off of it successfully after reading why so many people don't succeed It's because they do it too quickly. They either just stop them, which is very dangerous, don't do that, or they take too low of a dose when they lower the dose, and they have bad withdrawals and they can't take getting off of it. They just can't. And I knew I wasn't going to go down that road. I thought, nope, I'm going to do this successfully. I'm going to get off of this drug, and I'm going to succeed at it. Now, I have been off of the Xanax completely since, for what, a little over 2 weeks. And I feel fine. I've had no withdrawals, and it's because of the way I came off of it. Now, granted, I was only on 1 milligram, which is low compared to what a lot of other people are on. But I feel that regardless of the amount you're on, if you discuss this with your doctor doing it this way, I think you'll be successful. It's not like it happened overnight. So what I did, guys, is the 1 pill, okay, I was taking the 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, 2 at night. I knew I didn't want to mess with the night dose because, you know, by nighttime that tension and anxiety is where it can get you the most, and you can't sleep and this and that, and I wasn't going to go there. No, I needed my sleep. I needed to feel good. So what I did was I broke the pill in half. Okay, I broke the 0.25 in half. And there's the little half, as you can see, a little half right there. And I would put it in this pill cutter, okay, this little pill cutter. And I would cut that half in half, perfectly in half. So what I was doing was lowering my dose by only 1/4 of my dose. 1/4, that's it. I knew that would take several months because what I did after researching to be successful, I stayed at that lower dose of just taking 1/4 of the pill away, 1/4 of the dose away. I stayed at that level for 2 to 3 weeks, depending on how I felt. Now, a lot of that is psychological. When I first decided to lower that dose, I thought, oh my God, you know, it was a kind of a scary feeling. But I thought, no, I am determined to get off of this. I don't like this. So I cut that pill in half, which was only 1/4 of the dose off of my daily dose. And I stayed at that for 3 weeks basically. And the worst I had after cutting that 1/4 of a dose off of my daily dosage, the worst I had the first couple days was, a lot of it was psychological, and physically the worst I had was, you know, that feeling you get before, like, you're going to take a test, remember back in school or whatever, and you're going to take a test, something like that, and you're kind of, that was the worst it got. And that only lasted a couple of days, and then it was gone. And I felt fine for the next 2 to 3 weeks. And I did it this way because you have to give your brain and your body time to adjust to that little bit of a lower dose. It may be a very small lowering, but it's still a lowering. And your brain and your body knows it. So I gave my body, on the average, 2 weeks on that lower dose to be adapted to it, to adjust to it. My brain, because your brain is highly affected by benzos, and to cut it too much, too quick, can really cause you some complications. I wasn't going to go down that road at all. So after 2 or 3 weeks of being off of taking away 1/4 of my dosage, I took another 1/4 off. I stayed on that dose for 2 to 3 weeks, depending on how I felt. But I didn't go any longer than 3 weeks. And so I continued doing that to where I was down to taking none during the day. After lowering that dose, I'd take the morning dose and I'd cut, I'd do like I just told you, I'd break the pill in half and then cut that half in half and take that 1/4 away. And then I just continued doing that with every dose. I started with the morning dose. I cut that one, I cut the pill in half for that dose. And I continued doing that till I was no longer on the morning dose. Then I did that with the afternoon dose. Same thing. Cut that pill in half, cut the half, and I'm only taking 3/4 of that 0.25. The whole pill. I'm only taking 3/4 of it. So I continued doing that with the morning and the afternoon doses. One dose at a time though. You don't do it morning and afternoon. Like I did the morning cutting down until I was no longer on the morning dose. Then I went to the afternoon dose and continued lowering that by 1/4 of the pill until I was no longer on the afternoon dose. Then it was time to work on the nighttime dose. Same thing. I was taking 2 pills at night, but I was only cutting out 1/4 of that amount of pills. Same thing again at night. I was taking the 2, so I got 1, broke it in half, cut that in half, cut that half in half, took that little 1/4 piece away, which left me taking 3/4 of that nightly dose of the one particular pill. So I continued doing that till I was down to 1 pill, and then I did the same thing. Cut it in half, cut that half in half, take that 1/4 away, and I was down to 3/4 of a pill. I got down to half a pill. I was taking half a pill at night for, I guess it was a couple of weeks. And literally one night when I went to bed, it was a Sunday night, I went to bed, I was watching TV, and I got really tired, just tired on my own. I hadn't taken the Xanax. I got tired on my own and fell asleep. And that was while I was taking half of the 0.25 pill. Well, I realized when I woke up in the morning, oh my God, I didn't take my half a pill. I just fell asleep. And when I woke up, I felt fine. So I thought, okay, I feel good. I'm going to try going without it again tonight. Because you have to understand, by this time, I was done with all of the daytime dose. I was no longer taking any during the day. And so I thought, I'll try it another night. So the second night, I didn't take the Xanax, got comfy in bed, watching TV, got tired again, turned that TV off, I went to sleep. And I'm getting good sleep, guys. It's not like by not taking that half, all of a sudden I'm not sleeping. No, I actually slept really well, because believe it or not, these same pills that can make you feel relaxed and want to can also interrupt your sleep because of the way it affects your chemicals in your brain. So I have been off of it for over 2 weeks, about 16 days, and I am sleeping just fine. I am sleeping just fine. So I believe that because I lowered it so slowly over a long period of time, that when I forgot to take that half of a pill that night, it just wasn't, it didn't affect my body. It just didn't affect it because I was on such a low dose. My brain and my body had adapted to the lower dose. So I feel completely normal now. I'm not having any anxiety or depression or anything like that that I was going through before. I'm feeling just fine. In fact, I feel much better now that I'm off of it. I have much better mental clarity. I'm not getting that kind of groggy, tired feeling during the day that I was getting. You know, when I would take it, I'd be like, oh, I think I'm just going to go lay down for a little bit. That's gone. I now have my energy back to get things done, what I want to get done. And I'm going to be 69 in April, guys. So when you're older, you know, the drugs and chemicals can affect your body much, much differently than when you're younger. But regardless, being on benzos is a very serious issue when it comes to getting off of them. That's why I'm telling you, discuss this with your doctor. I'm not telling you to just start doing this on your own. I'm telling you the method I used because I did make the mistake when I first decided I wanted off of them. I cut the dose too low myself, and had a horrible reaction. Terrible, terrible reaction. I was shaking, I was crying, it was just like I was slammed with depression just like that. Literally, it was like in one day. It was terrible. And that's when I knew, nope, this is not going to win over me. Absolutely not. I'm doing this right so that I can get off of this and not have to deal with it anymore. And I am so much happier knowing I am no longer on this drug, although it did help me. I'm not going to sit here and down the drug. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, it's terrible. For me, in my case, it helped me tremendously with the what I was going through, the anxiety, the depression, the shaking, the not being able to sleep, the feelings of just end it all type of feeling. That's what anxiety can do to you if you have a severe case, and that's what I had. Turns out through therapy, the panic attack came from a lot of locked up pain. Let's just put it that way. A lot of locked up pain. And I've been with her all along until this last week. It was time. I'm done. I'm doing good. I've figured out how to cope with those pains and how to deal with life. Not saying that I'm not going to have ups and downs. Of course I am. I'm human. And I know I'm going to have days, as everybody does, where it's like, oh gosh, today sucks. I just want to go to sleep and never wake up, right? We all have days like that. That's normal. I'm talking that I no longer am feeling that feeling of complete loss, like this is hopeless, hopelessness. That's gone. And the medication helped me. It did help me. But I am the kind of person who I do not like anything that affects my brain at all. I don't drink at all, ever, guys. I don't even take a sip of alcohol. I don't like the taste of alcohol, and I don't like what it does to my brain. I don't like the way I feel. The last time I had any alcohol was for 2006 New Year's, and I took a couple sips of champagne, and that was good enough for me. I can't stand the taste of alcohol, and I just don't like what it does to my mind and body. It's just not for me. I'm totally an alcohol-free person. So taking Xanax, I knew from my doctor's warning that it is extremely addictive. It can affect your memory. It can affect a lot of things in your mind and body. But at the time, of course, I needed something. I had to have something. I was in dire situation. I mean, it was bad, guys. I would even say I was almost like suicidal thoughts. Of I just want to end it. This is not worth it. And I didn't realize that holding in all the pain I had held in for so many years was going to do that to me. And now that I brought all that out with my therapist, I feel completely different, psychologically and physically. But I wanted to make this video because I know that many of you out there are on benzos, and you do on-off, but you're terrified of the withdrawals, which I don't blame you. The withdrawals can be horrific. They can be a living hellish nightmare if it's not done right. By doing it so slowly and wanting to get off of it. That's such a big key in this. You have to want to get off of them. If you're sitting there with the mindset of, oh, I don't want to get off of this stuff, I hate it, but I don't want to get off of it. I do want to get off it, but I really don't. If you're in that mindset, I don't think it'll be very successful. In my case, I knew I wanted off of this stuff. I wanted to handle life without any kind of drugs. I'm not saying that something won't happen again in my life, or maybe I need to take a couple Xanax at some point. I'm not saying that. But I knew I wanted to get back to my life the way it was before even taking the Xanax. I knew I just didn't want to live this way. And I knew the repercussions of taking it on a long-term basis, how it can affect your mind and body. I knew I didn't want that. I definitely knew in my heart and soul, I want off of this stuff. So that's why I spent so many hours researching why people weren't succeeding, why people got so addicted, why people couldn't get off of it. And that's when I realized the withdrawals are terrifying. The thought of not taking that little pill to calm you down can be terrifying. It can be absolutely terrifying. But, as I said, I knew I wanted off. I wanted off of it. So in my head, I psychologically prepared for what could come from lowering the dose. Well, by lowering it such a small amount, I had no serious withdrawal effects. So like I said, yes, I was only on 1 milligram, but in my mind, you know, you can discuss this with your doctor. I don't care if you're on, 4 milligrams a day or however many you're on a day. By cutting down just a quarter, of a pill, a quarter of that dose, and staying on that for 2 to 3 weeks to let your brain and body adapt and adjust to it, I believe that is what my success was. I believe that by not going through withdrawals, terrible withdrawals and things, I wasn't inclined to go back and go to the higher dose. I wanted to go in the opposite direction. And so by cutting it down on such a low dose, I didn't have any serious withdrawals. Just occasionally, once in a while, a little like, but nothing that wasn't manageable. Absolutely nothing. Just a little here and there once in a while after I would lower that dose, maybe for the next 2-3 days. Felt a little, kind of that, like I said, before a test feeling, but that was totally manageable. And I was psychologically training myself as well every day. It's like, I'm staying at this lower dose no matter what happens. And I did. And things did come up. But I stayed at that lower dose. I didn't say, well, today, this is going to be a tougher day because of this or that, so I'm going to take a little more, I'll go back to my full dose. No, I didn't do that. I stayed at that lower dose no matter what happened. Psychologically telling myself, if you want to get off of this, you got to get off of it by knowing you cannot constantly run back to a higher dose if something goes wrong. And things do go wrong. You're not going to have days and months of nothing going wrong. That's not reality. But I had already psychologically prepared myself that no matter what I go through, I'm not raising that dose. And I haven't. I didn't. So when I forgot to take it that night, that Sunday night, that to me was a good sign in itself that that was no longer in my brain to take it. I just relaxed watching TV and clicked off that remote and I was like gone. And then when I rolled over in bed and looking towards the direction of my night table, I saw the pill and I thought, wow, I forgot to take it. That was the most wonderful feeling in the world. Not only that I had forgotten to take it because it wasn't on my brain, but because I felt good. I felt good. I thought, well, I'm feeling normal. I don't feel anything different this morning. Whereas before, when I was determined to take it because of what I was going through, let me tell you what, it was on my brain nonstop. Get up in the morning, I took it at 8. Man, there I was taking that pill at 8. Took it at 1. I was watching that clock, 1 o'clock. Then come nighttime, I couldn't wait to take the 2 at night because that's what I needed at the time. But once I made the decision to get off of that drug, psychologically, I was telling myself, you're fine. You're doing just fine on this lower dose. You're doing just fine. And I guess by that Sunday night, which was just a little over 2 weeks ago, I guess my brain was no longer, it just wasn't, I guess before that night even, it wasn't focusing on taking that pill. Look, I itch at my nose, guys. My brain just wasn't focusing on taking it because I had lowered that dose so much. And there were even a few times when when I had lowered the, morning or afternoon dose, which, like I said, I eliminated the morning dose before I went to the afternoon dose to start lowering it. There were a few times when I completely forgot to take it. I'd be like, oh my gosh. You know, once I got rid of as I lowered the dosages, I'd be like, oh my gosh, it's 10:30. I haven't taken my dose in the morning. And I was taking it at 8. So slowly but surely my brain was not focusing on taking that pill at that time. It just slowly started not focusing on it. And so by the time I got to taking just the 2 at night, I knew I was going to do it the same way. And that's what I did, guys. And it worked beautifully, just taking a quarter of that dose away and staying there for 2 to 3 weeks, depending on how I felt. And I have succeeded, and I feel great. I feel fantastic. I am just as happy as can be that I'm no longer on this stuff, because this stuff is highly addictive. And I knew I didn't want to go down that road of being so addicted that I could not get off of it. And I knew that was going to take some strength and some courage and some self-talk. And I was lucky enough to get a therapist. But if you can't afford or get a therapist for whatever reason, you can still do this without the help of a therapist. If you're absolutely against it, which I suggest you get a therapist because they can really help you. But if you can't afford one, or you just don't want to, still talk to your doctor about what I'm telling you to do. Don't just decide to do it yourself. I'm not going to tell you to do that, because I'm not going to be responsible for whatever happens with you. I am telling you, discuss it with your doctor. Like I said, I took 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, 2 at night. I started with that morning dose, cut the pill in half, which was just 0.25, cut that in half, and then cut the half in half, took away that quarter of a pill. And I continued doing that every 2 weeks till I was down to none in the morning. And then I did the same in the afternoon dose till I was down to none in the afternoon. Did the same with the night dose until, well, in this case, I was going to continue taking the night dose at the quarter, the quarter or the half pill being cut in half. I was down to half a pill at night, and I was going to go ahead and start cutting that in half. But that happened that night where I fell asleep. Just fell asleep and woke up feeling fine, and I thought, well, if not taking that half didn't affect me, maybe I should continue trying it. Well, I did, and I've had no effects at all, guys. None whatsoever. Excuse me, no withdrawals, even just eliminating that half, just like that. I guess the dose got so low in my body that that half really wasn't doing that much, but it worked. So anyway, I just wanted to do that. Good luck to you if you decide to work on this. I know it's hard. It's a very difficult road, and I wanted to share this with you because I got through the weaning off of the drug with no major withdrawals or anything to where I would fail. So I wanted to share that with you guys. Talk to your doctors about it. It was very successful, and I read that from an article several months ago. It took several months to get off of it by doing it this way. But my goal was not to get off of it quickly, it was to get off of it. And so if you're on a higher dose, obviously it may take you longer. But my goal was, I'm going to get off of this drug. I don't care how long it takes, of weaning off of it slowly. And I succeeded. Took several months, but I've done it. And you can too. So I'll talk to you guys later. Wanted to give this subject a little attention because it's a very serious one. So guys, talk to you later, and I wish you the best in all your journey to get off of your benzos. Take care. Bye-bye.